Hello, everyone. I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to watch my presentation on the effects of wintering ground conditions on lark bunting populations in the United States. I hope you enjoy the presentation. The lark bunting is a migratory dimorphic songbird, meaning the males have distinct plumage from the females. This species is only found in the grassland and shrub steppe of North America and has a historical range that includes southwestern and midwestern states and extends into northern Mexico and southwest Canada. Lark buntings are nomadic and do not have site fidelity, so during the winter they constantly move in search of food. For the breeding season, nesting site choice is based on precipitation and vegetation factors, not solely on locality. In the United States, they breed in several southwestern and midwestern states, while only extending into the southern portion of the Canadian provinces of Alberta and Saskatchewan, and only the very southwest tip of Manitoba. During the winter, they move throughout most of Texas and northern Mexico in search of food, often finding resources in cattle feedlots and other human-modified habitats. The lark bunting is robustly sized for a songbird, with a weight between 35 and 41 grams, and a very thick and bluish-gray bill. The adult male lark bunting is primarily black in plumage, with only a white patch on each wing. Adolescent males have streaky, dark brown plumage with notable white streaking on the breast and ventral areas, with the plumage becoming progressively darker as they mature. When courting females, the males sing and perform a flight display that shows off their attractive white patches and strong singing ability. Unlike some other songbirds, male lark buntings are not particularly territorial and have been observed displaying in groups with multiple males. Female lark buntings are notably different in plumage from the males. The plumage of the female is a combination of light brown and dark brown on the dorsal side, with notable white streaking on the throat, breast, and ventral areas. When the flight feathers are splayed during flight, white patches can be observed on the wing and similar to the males. The females blend in well with their preferred habitat and are much more covert in their behaviors. Like the males, the females are not particularly territorial, and the females will nest relatively close together in a type of community nesting. Lark buntings do not prefer bare ground, so pure grassland is not ideal for nesting sites. Instead, they prefer nesting sites at the base of larger grassland and shrub steppe vegetation. Like shrubs and cacti, clutch size ranges from 2 to 5 light blue eggs with incubation lasting 10 to 12 days. The chicks are born nearly naked with only sparse gray down. Within 7 to 9 days, the chicks are covered in feathers and dispersed from the nest, while parents continue to feed the chicks until the chicks are independent enough to care for themselves. A female may produce 1 to 2 broods in a breeding season, depending on resources, and more than one female may choose the territory of a single male, indicating polygyny. As a state bird of Colorado, Coloradans should have a vested interest in determining what may be causing the population decline. In 2019, a meta-analysis of migratory birds in the Western Hemisphere was published, and the results of the study should be alarming to everyone, not just Coloradans. The study found that bird populations in the Western Hemisphere have decreased by nearly 3 billion birds in the previous 50 years. The lark bunting is included in those drastic numbers and is estimated to have declined in population by 86% since the 1970s. To make matters worse, Southwest states, to include Colorado, experienced multiple mass die-offs of migratory birds in 2020. The mass die-offs were so recent that a publication has not yet been released to confirm what the die-offs may have been caused by, but researchers at the United States Geological Survey in Madison, Wisconsin suggest chronic starvation may have played a major role after necropsies of collected specimens were conducted. Of course, the cause of the decline is generally believed to be habitat loss and climate change, with a 2012 study supporting such a claim by finding that precipitation positively covariated with clutch size nest survival, and productivity of lark buntings. However, having a general understanding of what may be causing the loss of populations does not provide enough empirical backing to drive conservation efforts, which requires a focal understanding of the causes and what efforts can be implemented to minimize decline. Therefore, knowing what is occurring in the breeding and wintering habitats of the lark bunting is necessary to truly understand what may be impacting the population the most. This is an understudied species, but the studies that have been conducted have not focused on how body condition may differ from the beginning to the end of the breeding season. In addition, a history of their wintering grounds and how the environment in those areas has changed over time is unknown. Notably, a previous study on different migratory birds have shown that breeding ground changes have more impact on migratory birds than wintering grounds. Therefore, one must ask if lark buntings are impacted more from breeding ground changes or wintering ground changes. One may also ask if the environmental changes in the wintering and breeding grounds are similar or if one has undergone more change than the other. Given what is known about lark buntings and the support that breeding ground conditions may have a greater impact on migratory birds, it is hypothesized that even with similar environmental changes in the breeding and wintering grounds, that lark buntings will have lower body condition scores at the end of the breeding season than at the beginning of the breeding season, and that body condition during the wintering season stayed the same or improved. The first specific aim is to monitor lark buntings during the breeding season and record body condition of birds for statistical analysis. The second is to monitor lark buntings during the wintering months and attempt recapture in the spring at the beginning of the following breeding season. The third is to collect data on precipitation and temperature trends in lark bunting breeding and wintering grounds to compare trends in both areas to determine if one area has undergone more change than the other or if they have similar changes. Now we're going to go over the methods for each specific aim. For specific aim 1, at the beginning of the breeding season, capture migrating birds using mist nets. When the birds are captured, perform a body condition check. Record body fat, tarsus length, mass, and age of birds. Ban the captured birds using regulation bird banding laboratory bands and record unique number and complete all required banding information for each bird. Then we're going to fit each bird with a solar-powered life tag from CTT. We're going to release the birds and monitor for the length of the breeding season using the CTT tracking systems and towers. The signals from the life tags relay data to any MODIS system, which is an international research network which collaborates to gather and share data for migratory animals. Lark bunting data can be tracked throughout the United States as long as the tagged birds are close enough to another MODIS device. Near the end of the breeding season, we're going to recapture the birds before or during they return to their wintering grounds and record the body condition for the same birds that were captured at the beginning of the season. We're going to quantify the body condition using the method outlined by Page and Green 2009, and then compare mean body condition for the beginning and end of the breeding season. For specific aim 2, after the birds are released, the life tags will be able to track them as long as they are within range of a MODIS device. Birds that winter in Mexico are likely to have less data points since the technology is relatively new and mostly United States. As time progresses, the hope is that more data collecting devices are used throughout the world. We're going to recapture tagged birds as they return from their wintering grounds. They are very unpredictable, and while the MODIS tracking system may help locate returning birds, experience indicates that this task will be easier said than done. However, we're going to try. So after recapture, we're going to quantify the body condition once again using Page and Green 2009, and then we're going to compare the mean body condition from the previous year's data. For our third and final specific aim, we're going to obtain precipitation and temperature data records of both the wintering and breeding grounds of lark buntings through the National Weather Service. We're going to compare mean difference in precipitation between the breeding and wintering grounds over a 50-year period. And we're also going to compare the mean difference in temperature change between the breeding and wintering grounds over a 50-year period as well. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation. Are there any questions?